Laura.
And this is Musab.
So we just wanted to do a brief video. We promise we'll try to keep it brief. Because we've just been diagnosed yesterday, Monday, 23rd of March. Yes. That we have COVID. Well, Musab did the test and the doctor said that I have most probably caught it because I have the symptoms. So I'll just let Musab speak about his symptoms first. And then we just want to give you guys a bit of advice and talk about our perspective on the whole situation.
Hey guys, so unfortunately I ended up catching COVID-19 last week on Wednesday. The total course today has been about 1 week and I've currently mostly recovered. I would describe it as a flu. It's a pretty mild flu. For me, the symptoms that I got was a tickle in the throat, then a cough, onset of fever. It was relatively high fever, body weakness, really big headache, eyes sore. Sometimes your nose can be a bit runny every now and then, but nothing too major with the nose. And obviously with all these symptoms, you feel quite fatigued and drudgy and everything feels very difficult to do. I found that taking paracetamol helped a lot and ibuprofen. Now, this is, like I said, quite similar to the typical flu, this virus. So unfortunately, you can't really take anything to do with antivirals, antibacterials and whatnot. They don't really help as this is a virus. But I'll move on to Laura and let her explain her point of view on the virus as well.
So last Friday, I started coughing a lot. Mine was like more chesty cough, and I actually thought I had bronchitis because I've had those quite a lot of times here. And afterwards, I had fever on Saturday, but just briefly, but the cough continued. And unfortunately, on Sunday, I started having a migraine, which has lasted until pretty much today. So today until just a couple of hours ago, my head was still hurting. And by hurting, I mean, if people out there have migraines, this is like intolerable migraine. Like I couldn't sleep from Sunday to Monday. So it's quite harsh. I'm not underestimating it. I basically spent Saturday and Sunday just sleeping and resting. And that's what I thought after taking paracetamol. That's what got me kind of through it because it's really important to rest. And we just kept on eating, keep on eating proteins. We avoided salads or raw things just to like avoid any extra risks. And a lot of vegetables and soups and a lot of teas.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's just give you a quick run through of guidelines that you guys should be following because the things that we weren't really following might have led us to even catching it in the first place, unfortunately. So I wasn't taking washing my hands seriously or the application of hand sanitizer or some sort of bacterial or viral alcoholic-based hand rubs. So make sure that you're taking at least 60% alcohol-based hand rubs, making sure you wash your hands for at least 20 seconds with soap and warm water, making sure you avoid touching your face a lot. If you guys have to cough and sneeze, please do so on your elbow, within your elbow like this, not on your hands, or obviously not out in the open. Also, try to avoid getting too close to people that are sick, of course. So if you see anyone a bit off or...
And old people.
Yes, exactly. For at least about a meter, I would say. And avoid crowded places and or creating events that involve a lot of people crowding into one area as well. And try to be in well ventilated and make sure that there is enough airflow in the areas that you're trying to confine your spaces in. But these are just basic guidelines that you guys should currently be following.
Yeah, one thing is if you do have to go into crowded spaces is like, you might have heard a lot about masks, but I mean, please inform yourselves what type of masks you're using because if you're using one type of mask, which is the ones that actually doctors use, surgical masks, they don't avoid the virus going through. So if you cough, the virus is still going to go through. And actually, those types of masks is basically the same thing as using just covering your face with a scarf. So I mean, if you don't have, like, if you can cover yourself if you're in a crowded area, or if you have to be very close to someone, especially old people. I mean, those are the people at risk, not our age group. So yeah, and then if you're using those masks, or if you've seen them around, people are kind of misusing it where we're from and in our town. So these are like really hard masks with a little metal piece at the front. So I've read quite a lot about them, and the thing is that you're only supposed to use them for a maximum of half an hour, and if they start getting wet, actually they're worse than good. So please be aware that not everything that's like covering your face actually is of any good. So please research more than just follow what the general norm and general people are doing.
Yeah, try not to scare yourselves too much and look into your phones and get all paranoid and whatnot as well. Going too far into paranoia is also not too good for mental health and productivity. There has to be a balance in everything. So be aware that there is a real threat out there. Be aware that you have to respect sort of guidelines, guys. Make sure you follow what your country is doing and what your government is saying, what the local authorities are saying. Make sure you follow those guidelines, guys. So, for example, here we're in Europe. They're quite strict, and public gatherings and bars and pubs, whatnot, they're all shut down. Whereas in Australia, it may be a different case. Follow these guidelines. Keep up to date. Make sure you're always following the latest information, the right sources of information, not these random bloggers and whatnot.
Yeah, and if you have at least 2 symptoms, then please research what emergency phone number you have. The main thing we want to say is that, we don't think that this is gonna just get brushed away. We actually do think that in general, like, eventually people will catch it. However, the problem is that hospitals aren't prepared to receive everyone at once. We're not talking about our age group, but we're an aging population in general, so there are very little countries that actually have more babies being born than old people staying around. So the problem is really with the old people. And from my experience, and from what I've heard in Portugal, is that there are a lot of people that think that they have the symptoms, and they only have, for example, one symptom. So they're not sneezing. They think sneezing is a symptom, which it isn't, by the way. You have to have a runny nose. So they have a runny nose. They go to the hospital, and then they end up catching it, and also they end up spreading it to other people. So that's mostly the concern. So have at least 2 symptoms, and then call whatever number there is in your country to check if you actually have it or not, and stay safe and stay away from the people that are at risk. Thanks, guys. If you have any questions, just write us a note, even about symptoms, how we got through it. We're more than happy to help. We're not here to just try to publicly make money or anything, but literally just trying to make people aware. So more than happy to help. See ya.
Okay, guys. Ciao.